Welcome and good evening, I would say, from Europe to good morning in America, where I'm talking to Juan from Harrison Bruno in wonderful California. So, Juan, welcome on INKISH.
Oh, thank you so much for the invitation. Really appreciate it.
And I am so sad that you have not heard about INKISH. So this is the first time that we are going to talk to each other, and hopefully it will give you a lot of feedback, so you can see why we believe ourselves that we are very important to the industry. So, but that's another story. So, Juan, I have been looking a little bit on your website to prepare myself for today, but I think it's often better to hear it from yourself. So. Let's introduce yourself and introduce Harrison Bruno to my audience, please.
Yeah. Well, first of all, sorry, I'm not familiar with INKISH, but we are looking forward to, establishing a little bit better relationship there. So a little bit about Harrison Bruno and a quick introduction about myself. I am Juan Soto. I've been with Harrison Bruno for a little bit over 8 years now. In my time here, I've transitioned from engineering to project management, and now I serve as our product manager for a lot of our web, primarily web product, and also our Synergy coating brands. Harrison Bruno as a whole, we've been around for 70 plus years. In what started as a small job shop transitioned into a rapid wash, and then what we're really hit the ground running was when we started developing fluid circulation systems, and then we further innovated by adding a enclosed chamber doctor blade system, and that to this day is still our core technology. So the core technology that we do right now is we're in Flexo, we're in web offset, we're in for packaging, marketing material. We're all the way through commercial. We're seeing it a lot, even more now. Our transition is on the digital side, continues to grow as well. We really are what I would say a very balanced company in both offset, Flexo, new digital.
And if I was a little bit curious, because when you say the Dr. Blade system, I was just thinking about, you don't use that on an inkjet press, for example, right?
We do, actually. We are okay. We're either pre-print, as in a primer that is required for substrate optimization. And then after print, we are overprint varnish, right? And so we do have our chamber doctor blade system on our coaters so that we can lay down a uniform coating. Where we're really playing more nowadays is not just cookie cutter, everyday gloss and ink protection, but more in the embellishment circle.
Okay. So that, of course, is interesting, because if a lot of the inkjet presses, for example, that also some of the ones we will see at Innovationdays are probably still using some kind of either pre-treated paper or paper that is treated inside the machine. But basically, with the Harrison Bruno, you have the option to deliver systems, both pre and post system, basically.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
And when you say embellishment, is it like even spot varnishes on a like in a flexo thing, or is it more for like full surface coatings?
We're doing both, actually. So a lot of our equipment offers not only just a flood application, but as well as a spot coating application. And so by embellishment, it's not just the areas that we are applying fluid, but as well as the type of coatings that our equipment can handle, right? And so in most cases, your roller coaters are very niche to, smaller particulate or no particulate really coatings, very simple gloss, for example. And our chamber doctor blade system can lay down a uniform coating layer from a gloss to a high viscosity, large particulate fluid, such as, a glitter or a heavy grit, for example. So we are playing a lot more with textile style products.
Interesting. I was thinking for a second that when you look at the digital space, especially inkjet, it's funny because if you look at inkjet 10, 15 years ago, it was mainly for transactional print, also for some direct mailing, and I guess that you have a place in the direct mail segment as well. But now, where more and more printing companies are moving offset to digital, I think there should be an even larger space for Harris and Bruno and these opportunities in the future, or how do you see the future for your types of products?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think you hit the nail right on the head. That's been our largest growing segment for Harris and Bruno specifically, is the digital market here in the United States. Clearly for direct mail has been our largest product offering in the past few years. So everything that we're seeing, your standard 10-point for postcards, some mailing inserts as well, all the way through commercial as well. So as you were mentioning, some of these offset printers are now transitioning some of this work over to their web ink digital, so it's no longer just transactional. We're starting to see everything from mild to heavy coverage for the commercial side, and we are helping post print with the protection of the inks, and like I said, once again, the tactile. That's really bringing that wow factor to the end user, who at the end of the day is reading these magazines or receiving this mail, and that sense of feel is very, very important.
The technology that you provide, I'm not neglecting the difficulty and the engineering in doing it because it's also high speed, it needs to be precise and things like that. But in a world where more and more goes digital, also the embellishment side goes digital. Is that an area that you're developing into as well, or how do you see digital embellishment in high speed inkjet?
We are. I think it's more in regards to end users breaking away from the norm, wanting to step away and be a little bit different. And we are supporting those end users and helping find what that recipe would be. One of the benefits of working with Harris and Bruno is not only do we have a great reputation for developing and manufacturing reliable and robust equipment, but our vast knowledge and understanding a variety of fluids and coatings itself, both water-based or UV, and kind of matching them together on the equipment. Hey, do we require more hot air, more IR, more UV? What speeds really do the coatings perform best? And then we put all of that together in a complete recipe that we basically hand off to an end user. One of the things that a lot of our customers love about us is the fact that we try to help them out as much as they can, so that when they install equipment, they hit the ground running, and they're not playing around with it on their floor.
Yeah, and what I like about what you just said, because I think that sometimes you underestimate the value of basically having both the hardware along with the consumables, because first of all, it gives you an opportunity for a business model where you can basically play on having both. But secondly, it also gives, as you say, the perfect match between the performance that you need from a machine and how it should basically react to both the substrate and to the technology used. So I think there's still a lot of innovation into the types of product that you deliver, right?
Absolutely. So we're trying to innovate, but we continuously try to learn as well, right? So, you hit the nail on the head there as well again, in regards to substrates. Substrates is another variable that we're starting to learn a little bit more about. But at the end of the day, the more knowledgeable that we are and kind of putting all those puzzle pieces together, it's better and best for our end users when we can hand over a complete puzzle and say, hey, this is exactly how to do what you're requesting to do, and that is difficult to do start to finish.
One of the things that when you said that you can do the technology both pre and post, I was just wondering, When you do it in pre, does it mean that you can actually, instead of buying pre-treated paper, you can basically treat the paper for the inkjet technology that you use?
Exactly. That's exactly it, right? And especially in nowadays where we're starting to see a little bit of scarcity in certain, coated or inkjet substrates, right? It's very important in allowing some of our customers that flexibility. Now you widen the range of substrates you can buy.
And does that mean, because I think a lot of printing companies are looking into, let's say, the total cost of ownership, because basically with the increased paper prices during the past years, having an added coating on the paper or pre-treatment into the paper, have you made calculations whether it's more valuable to coat it yourself or treat the paper yourself, or is to buy pre-treated paper? Where's the ratio? How much do you need to operate before it is a good business for you to do?
That is a tricky question, because the price of the market, right, continues to change. But I would say that at the end of the day, we try to establish ourselves in a position where our customers will see a quick ROI, and that's the return on their investment for not only the equipment, but what they can offer post and pre. So the ability to do both really gives a customer the ability to start managing their own budget a little bit better, to where the profits, are positive at the end of the day, right?
And I would also add to it, maybe if you look, I visited a huge printing company in South Africa just a few weeks ago, and they have both digital and analog production. And I just thought about what you said, because if you have a huge paper stock and you have something that is treated and something that is not treated, then you don't have the flexibility of choosing last minute what kind of substrate you're going to use. If you have your own pre-treatment, you basically can choose any paper and just use it, right?
Exactly. Or perhaps you have a vendor or a manufacturer that has a specific type of paper, but now they're running a little bit low. So you find 2 or 3 other vendors that have similar paper characteristics. Now you apply a coating fluid that at the end of the day really matches all your work, right? And an end user would really appreciate that.
I remember when I used to work in offset printing company years ago. I remember when water-based varnish came to the offset, built into the machines, and I like the texture and I like the surface of having these varnishes on. But I think a lot of printing companies also did it because it basically eliminated some drying time before finishing. When you look at all the inkjet presses today and how fast they are, does that also play a role in a post-coating to basically be able to process things faster, or is that more down to the dryers on the inkjet device itself?
It's a combination of both, right? So one of the things that, as you know, most OEMs continue to innovate themselves on the press side. And so what we do is we continue to try to keep up, if not stay a step ahead, right? So that we can help assist in drying if required, but also allow a customer to basically say, hey, I can do this type of work and not require any coating. But now if I want to double my throughput, I do require that layer of coating, and now I'm able to, double my workflow. And at the end of the day, it's a puzzle here.
So basically, you mean that you can take if you have coating for the purpose of closing the print on paper, you can basically speed up the press and make the press even more productive.
Absolutely.
Juan, everything sounds so amazing and great, and I can't wait to see you and your team at the Hunkeler Innovationdays. That was the reason why I asked you for this interview, but I learned already so much. I was just wondering, when you go to Switzerland, as you mentioned, you cannot bring equipment to the show, but you bring samples, you bring a lot of, I guess, business cases, why this is important, or what is it that people can expect visiting your booth?
Yeah, absolutely. So, we welcome everyone to come visit our booth. We will have not only a couple of our team members there that are very knowledgeable in the whole coating space, but we absolutely will have a variety of samples that we can demonstrate and illustrate to everyone there, and kind of just explain to them, how we are managing to provide such samples. And unfortunately, we are not able to bring some of our equipment. It's fairly large, but I think the samples and a little bit of a discussion or a conversation would go a long ways.
When people invest in Harris & Bruno equipment, is that part of the buying process where you talk to, and you as Harris & Bruno also collaborate with the OEMs, or is this more like, okay, I have a printing company, I need to figure out how I can differentiate, so now I just call you and then you deliver a little box that I put on my machine and here we go, or how do people typically buy your equipment?
Yeah, so actually there's a couple different ways. We do have direct sales. For the majority of our equipment, I'd say is a direct sale, but we do have partnerships. Specifically, we have great partnerships with HP on a lot of their digital web inkjets, and then also now in their new packaging, which is also digital. And on the offset side, you guys will see our equipment actually comes on coating towers on your Komoris and your K&Bs. So we are very well positioned with a lot of the larger OEMs as partners, and we work with just about everyone in one way or another. So you guys are always happy to come to us, and we can be a liaison, or you're welcome to go to an OEM and talk about Harris & Bruno, and we have great relationships with everyone as well.
As long as they talk about Harris & Bruno, you're happy, right?
Exactly. We don't have any competitors.
And last question. I was just thinking that because if you think again about Innovation Days, when people come to your booth and let's say that they get excited about what they see, I was just wondering, so how much information should they bring along to your booth in order to make a reasonable calculation on whether this is a valuable investment for them?
To be honest with you, I think every customer has a different goal in mind. And each application is a little bit different. There's a lot of variables that come into play. And, as one of the members that will be there, we'd be happy to support and answer any specific questions that they have and put together a specific puzzle for them. Any questions that they have, they don't have to come fully prepared. Just come visit us and we'll help you find your way.
That's great. Juan, I want to thank you very much for spending your morning here with INKISH and our audience, and I look very much forward to see the samples in person when I get to Lucerne, and I also look very much forward to meet you and your colleagues. So thank you for your time here on INKISH, and have a safe trip to Europe in just 20 days from now.
I know, coming up close. We will. Thank you so much for the invitation. Look forward to meeting you as well.
Thank you.